Hello and welcome to Digital Nation. We're off on a whistle-stop tour around the UK's local TV stations, giving you a glimpse into some of the fascinating stories that you certainly won't have seen anywhere else. In this week's show, we try our hand at drone racing in Bristol. We celebrate the Welsh language with music in Cardiff. And we remember Nelson Mandela's historic visit to Glasgow. And remember, if you're watching at home, you can tweet using the hashtag #DigitalNation. Now, when you think of the world's pioneering aviators, you might think of Charles Lindbergh, Amelia Earhart, but have you heard of Lillian Bland? Because in 1911, she actually became one of the first women in the world to design, build and fly an aircraft. And in Belfast, rehearsals are currently underway for a special musical performance, all to celebrate her story.
We were doing another production and I came across this name, Lillian Bland, the first woman to design, build and fly an aeroplane in the world in Northern Ireland. She designed it herself, built it herself in the barn in her near her house with the help of a garden boy, and then took it out and flew it. So, I mean, it's an incredible story and it's filled with lots of details that are both humorous and quite touching. For example, whenever she got her engine for the first time, she didn't have a reservoir for the petrol, so she had to use a whiskey bottle, and she didn't have a tube, so she had to use her aunt's ear trumpet, and that's how she started up the engine for the first time.
I was really excited when I heard about the production that, first of all, it was about Lillian Bland, because I don't think she's gotten enough attention for all of her achievements that she's done here, but more importantly because she's a role model. And the really special thing about this particular event is that it's all women and girls singing about this wonderful female role model that had such an impact on aerospace engineering, particularly here in Ireland. I think having Lillian Bland as a role model, particularly for young women, is extremely important because we need mentors, we need role models, we need people that we can look up to. And if I say something to you, if I say professor or scientist or engineer, to be honest, most of us would hear those words and think men in those professions. And to associate aviator and aeronautical engineer with a woman is a remarkable role model, a remarkable mentorship opportunity for young women today. So they can look at Lillian Bland and they can say, I can do that. I can grow up to be an engineer. I can grow up to be an aviator.
Drones are right at the top of many people's Christmas lists these days, but have you seen drone racing? Well, let's visit Bristol now and an event at the University of the West of England who are showcasing drone tech and bringing people together for the world's first drone racing event. Probably.
We are at the University of the West of England. What we are doing is holding the first ever drone racing event, automated drone racing event in the world, we think.
There's very few rules. The first one is I've put a weight limit on the drones. You're allowed up to 3 kilos, but in fact if you lift a 3 kilo drone or you see a 3 kilo drone, that's pretty big. I've allowed 1 metre across as well. Again, big drone. So the idea was that wasn't, as long as it's safe, that wasn't going to limit anybody's tech. You know, they could load up their kit as much as possible.
It's an automated race, and so therefore it'll be software based so that the drones can actually follow a track. We actually have a red tape so that they will be programmed to follow the red tape. So that will be within the competition area, but of course there's the other area which is all safety netted off.
The red tape is really just a big queue. All we want is a chariot race, frankly. Imagine a big oval, NASCAR, Ben-Hur, however you imagine it, and all we want is whatever it takes to get drones tearing around a course, looking awesome, I suppose. And so pretty much after that, everything else was really just to enable that. So red line on the floor was the simplest way to make that happen, because we knew that there are vision tracking algorithms out there. You can download them for free off the internet, things like that, and get that code working.
It gives the teams the opportunity to compete, obviously. It also gives them the opportunity to interact with each other, because there will be pits and they can go between tables and chat with each other and help each other out. So there will be an imparting of knowledge, really. But also it gives the opportunity for the general public and for companies to come in and see the skills we have to offer.
Cambridge is internationally renowned as a beautiful city, but imagine the cityscape flooded with light. Well, that's Cambridge went to the Illuminate Festival, which is an annual showcase in which artists light up the city in all sorts of ways to show off Cambridge's historic centre.
The Illuminate Festival got off to a dazzling start last Friday, with the Mayor officially opening it from the balcony at Guildhall. The event brings together technology and art to show off Cambridge's unique beauty.
We light up the whole of city. We use all the iconic buildings in Cambridge and do amazing projections on them. But that's only half of it. We've also got a load of indoor things as well. Everything from workshops where you can make your own hologram, to wine tasting events that involve light, to a trail of light around the colleges of the city. So a whole range of different things, all connected to light. And this year's theme is play, so we're looking at the play of light.
There are 24 outdoor projections spread right across the city. You can follow an interactive map online to see all the sites. But there are lots more events happening throughout the week.
There's also concerts, there's even a conference this year where we've got a whole range of seminars and talks talking about the play of light and the technology and all those sorts of things. And we've got some guest speakers, people like Nick Hornby, the author, and Robin Ince, the comedian, coming down to talk about, to reflect on things to do with light. So there's a whole range of stuff. What we'd say to people is go to the website, no matter whether you're 8 or 800 years old, you'll find something that you'll enjoy doing.
Now over to Rio de Janeiro. Yeah, I'm fibbing. But samba dancing is something you might associate more with Brazil than the Mersey. However, the team at Made in Liverpool, as always, are up for just about anything. So make sure you get those dancing shoes on, because we're about to join Ben and Gael to have a go at one of Brazil's most famous exports.
So we're here to try out a bit of samba with the lovely ladies. We've got Jill and we've got Simone to tell us from Viva Brazil Samba. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do here.
Well, we've been teaching in Liverpool since 2006, bringing the samba to Liverpool, as well more insight into the culture and food and everything. We make our own costumes throughout the year so that the girls can put live practices on with carnivals across the country as well as abroad, or as well just doing live practice with us so they can see firsthand how to improve or what they're doing better at. That in class it might not seem that much a big deal once you put all the costume on and everything. And we work with children as well.
Yeah, we teach workshops in schools as well. Anywhere all around the country, we're trying to take it international. No, we never limit ourselves, always, as far as we can go. So yeah, we have a company called Houta too, which is health and wellbeing through art. So yeah, we kind of use the dance as a tool, like alternative education, to get the students' confidence up, to get them respecting each other, to, expressing themselves and just basically having a good time as well.
Next up, we're joining STV Edinburgh for a visit to Jack's Den. Now, this is a support centre in Livingston for young people with cancer, inspired by teenager Jack Truman. And Hayley Matthews met Jack's mum, Alison, to find out about the great work done by the centre.
In 2015, Jack Truman was diagnosed with a very aggressive type of cancer. Before he passed, he asked his mum to create a safe space where children in a similar situation to him could come and have some respite and comfort and just be children. So that's why today we've come along to Jack's Den to meet Jack's mum. For people who are not familiar with Jack's Den, tell me how this all came about.
Okay.
Because you were tasked, weren't you? You were given a mission.
I was given a big mission by my 15-year-old son, Jack, who was fit and healthy up until 2.5 years ago, when sadly he took very ill very suddenly with a rare and aggressive form of cancer, and sadly died 5 months later. But before he died, he was aware that whilst the medical care was absolutely outstanding, that he felt some of the emotional support was maybe requiring a bit of work. So he decided that he wanted to open a den for children to come to and families to come to, where they could just relax and chill out with the hospital environment, but it was still safe and clean and sterile, where they could just get any support they needed.
You're just incredible to go through what you've gone through and to do this and help other people. Does it keep you going, helping other people?
100%. I mean, I would just say that I've taught for 22 years in primary mainstream and music and primary and special needs. And that was my passion. I loved teaching, I loved being in among schools, but I just couldn't do it. Once Jack died, I went back into school and I was like, I just can't do this. This isn't where I'm meant to be. And it's just been amazing. I feel like the passion that I had for that, I've got for this now. Yeah. And I feel like through doing this, I'm keeping Jack's memory alive. So I feel like I'm actually making something of his life as well. So it's not a case of, yes, I'm grieving, I'm not under any illusions, he's gone and he's not coming back. But the fact that we can do this because of him and because he was inspiration for this amazing place has just been, it's just made life so much easier.
Well, that brings us to the end of part 1, but before the break, as always, it's time for our weekly quiz. So, where did the world's first steam-powered passenger train journey begin? Was it A, Darlington, B, York, or C, Grantham? Join us after the break to find out. Hello and welcome back to Digital Nation. Now, before the break, we asked you, where did the world's first steam-powered passenger train journey begin? Did you know the answer? It was, of course, A, Darlington. Yes, indeed, on the 27th of September in 1825, the train moved at an average speed of just 6 miles per hour up the line to Stockton-on-Tees. Next up, it's time to celebrate Dydd Music Cymru, and that means the Welsh Language Music Day. And this February marked the second annual event, and the team from Made in Cardiff went to find out what's occurring.
First Welsh language pop record came out 50 years ago, and it's a really rich and interesting, diverse scene. There's pop and bands and everything from classical and jazz, and people choose to sing it in Welsh, from all across Wales. So today's a day to celebrate that and to highlight all the brilliant talent that there is out there, and maybe to introduce some people to it as well who might not necessarily have ever heard a song in Welsh. I grew up in Cardiff and I'm a Welsh speaker, and you could probably go to a Welsh language gig every week in Cardiff if you wanted to. It's the capital of Wales. There's a lot of great bands and musicians from all across Wales who come to Cardiff to play, and so I think it's an important part of the city, and it's things like the language and our national identity that makes Cardiff different. Otherwise, you could be in any other city in the UK. For everyone, really. I think people listen to music if it's good, regardless of where it's from or what style it's in, or people just make music and put it online straight away without waiting for anyone to approve it, which is brilliant. So it's constantly developing, and I think it's natural that we're a nation of music makers. Definitely, I think it's something we should be proud of.
To a lot of people, graffiti is something that should be removed from the streets, never mind an art gallery. And Temper is one of the most renowned graffiti artists in the world. And Made in Birmingham were lucky enough to speak to the man himself at the mailbox.
I started off as a graffiti artist in Wolverhampton. That's where I'm from. Used to paint in the subways and stuff. And bit by bit, gradually, I've made my way up the streets into the galleries.
what inspires you? You probably hear that question so many times, but there's some people out there watching and they're looking at some of the David Bowie, we've got Amy Winehouse, it's incredible work. What really inspires you and what's going through your mind when you're spraying?
Well, when I'm painting, like, you know what I mean, I'm in my own little world. So, like, all I do is I just work out the ways that I'm going to paint it, because, like, to get to an eye, you have to paint all around the face to get to it and stuff like that. So, you know, your mind's preoccupied when you're painting. You've got lots of things to think about. But inspiration comes from everywhere for me. You know, I'm brought up in the pop culture. You know, so, like, you know, everything that's like popular culture has influenced me. Like, you know, like I sponge in every bit of information. And that's how my work came out.
What can people expect when they walk through the door to see the beautiful work those are my words, beautiful work that's in this room?
Well, hopefully they get a sense of, you know, nostalgia. They get a sense of, like, being. They get a sense of, like, love. They get a sense of, like, purpose. You know, there's lots of reasons why those people are what they are and the legacies they've left behind, you know. So I think that, you know, they're timeless. They're just timeless people, you know.
Do you know how many sports were created right here on these shores? Well, let's go over to Creative Kingdom to find out.
No matter what sport you enjoy, you can rest assured that a Brit either invented it or made it better. Here's a brief selection of some of the people who taught the world how to play the game. Water polo, William Wilson, 1877, Aberdeen. The penalty kick, William McCrum, 1890, County Armagh. Windsurfing, Peter Chilvers, 1958, Hayling Island. Baseball, 1755, Guildford. The Paralympics, Ludwig Gutmann and Joan Scruton, 1948, Aylesbury. Tennis, Harry Jem, 1869, Birmingham. Proof, if it were ever needed, that when it comes to creativity, innovation and playing to win, in the UK Mint.
To the South Downs now, where that Solon paid a visit to Butser Ancient Farm, an experimental archaeological site where you can see ongoing constructions of ancient buildings from the Stone Age through to Anglo-Saxon era, as well as rare breeds of pigs, goats and sheep.
On average, 300 children a day are brought along to Butser Ancient Farm from schools both local to Hampshire and the Isle of Wight and further afield, such as Kent and Devon.
We're an archaeological research site and we see ourselves very much as an educational site, education in the very widest sense. So yes, they come because they want to learn about life in the past. They want to come and find out how people, what their life might have been like if they'd been a Stone Age person or an Iron Age person or a Roman or even a Saxon.
The skills of the blacksmith are linked to the Iron Age about 3,000 years ago.
Being able to manipulate metal and various sorts of metal was really, really important. And when you go right back, the Iron Age is called the Iron Age because that was a time when iron was used to make sharp blades. And discovering iron must have been an amazing thing because you get iron from a rock. And who looks at a rock and thinks you can get some metal from it? So that in itself is amazing.
Blacksmith wears as a specialism as a swordsmith and a passion for using original techniques. Here he's crafting an all-in-one Viking knife.
When you look back in history, I think there's lots of little secrets when you're looking at how they make stuff and you're looking at the hammer marks. I think the modern way of doing things, there are modern techniques, but if you go back and you use these traditional techniques, like how the Saxons used to twist their metal to get these beautiful patterns in them when they did pattern welded swords, and I think if you do enough research and you look at some of the really old sort of stuff that's been found, and to be honest, we're still trying to unlock the secrets, you know, of how they used to do some of this stuff, and you can see how amazing these blacksmiths were back in the day.
Did you know that Nelson Mandela had a very special place in his heart for Glasgow? No, me neither. And nearly a quarter of a century ago, he actually visited the city to thank them personally for their support in the fight against apartheid in South Africa. But why focus on Glasgow? Let's hand it over to STV Glasgow to find out more about the great man's visit.
Glasgow does have a very special place. That it was the first city in the world to give freedom of the city to Nelson Mandela.
Tell them louder! Tell them constantly! Free South Africa now!
Eventually, when Mandela was released and he came to Glasgow to receive the freedoms, not just of Glasgow, but of all the cities, districts and boroughs that had given him freedom in the run-up to the end of apartheid, Mandela's office wanted him just to come to one place rather than go around 9 different places. This was in the run-up to the election. He was very busy, he wasn't young, he was just released from prison. And I thought it was a great honour at the time when I was appointed to liaise and negotiate with 9 cities to try and get them to come to one place. It wasn't easy to get them all to come to Glasgow, as you can understand. Each of them wanted to have him in their own city, but eventually they agreed. And in fact, one leader of one council said that was the most fantastic, wonderful 5 minutes of my life that I spent with Nelson Mandela. I'm very pleased that we agreed eventually to come to Glasgow.
12 years ago, in 1981, you bestowed upon me the freedom of your great city, Glasgow. You, the people of Glasgow, pledged that you would not relax until I was free to receive this honor in person.
Finally, think you've got what it takes to be part of the fire service? How about carrying bear bells, pulling hose reels and dragging a casualty? Well, Maiden Leeds found out exactly what that was like when they joined the West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service's brand new entry tests. So let's see if they're firefighter fit.
The Chief Fire Officer for West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue is used to addressing the best of the best at his morning briefings. But instead, today he briefed, or should I say warned, a group of rookies on what to expect from the service's recruitment fitness test.
So I've just been getting kitted out with my professional instructor, Vinny, who's given me a few sage words of wisdom in order to prepare me for the task ahead. I am wearing my Lucky Leicester City shirt underneath because it is going to take a miracle for me to pass these tests, but we're going to give it a go. Let's go, Vinny. Look.
And I've been putting out fire.
We haven't really been in a position to recruit up until now, and that's largely due to the financial restrictions that we've had over the last few years. And we feel at this stage, because numbers of firefighters have been dropping so much over kind of the last 6-7 years, that it's important now that we need to bring firefighters in.
The 15-week training process for new recruits isn't limited to these physical tests, with an important theoretical side reflecting the growing demands of the service, including community relations and education. And even after graduation, the firefighters must face frequent reassessments to ensure they're still firefighter fit.
Because what we find is that from the chief to the recruit firefighter, they've come through exactly the same process. It's the same standard for everybody. So you know, looking around your team, the crew that you're with, the watch, that they've done exactly the same as you, and you can depend on them.
And that's it for this week's show. Thank you for joining us. If you have missed any episodes in the past, don't forget you can catch up on the BBC iPlayer, or maybe you can visit your own local TV channel's website. So until next time, goodbye.